Hello, my friends. John LaRuffa here with another straight up solo. And in this episode, we're going to be taking a look at Founders of Teotihuacan. We're going to see how it plays from a solo perspective. I'm going to give you my thoughts on it, and then hopefully you'll be able to decide if you would like to purchase this game or not. Let's get started. All right, folks, and as usual, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. So setting up for the bot is actually really simple. You are going to be playing against a bot that does its own thing in a completely different way. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to roll for the conditions of play, which I think is really cool. And this is one of my primary positives. Well, I have a lot of positives about this game, but I really like this. So what's going to happen is you've got to choose 3 categories of challenges, and you're going to do so randomly by rolling a D8. And that's going to tell you what you have to do and what you're restricted on doing to be able to qualify to win the solo game. All right? So let's go ahead and take a look at that and how it'll work. So the first column we're going to roll, it's a 3. So the 3 says, you, as in me, may not build red pyramid tiles after setup. Subtract 10 additional points from your final score. So I can't build any red pyramid tiles, which means none of these. All right, so that's going to affect my strategy very much so. Now let's roll again. It's a 3 again. All right, so have at least 4 stone buildings of size 2 or more at the end. All right, so I need to do that to be able to win. And then number 4, resolve 4 green worship tiles. Subtract 5 additional victory points from your final score. So what that means is that I'm going to need to resolve 4 of these throughout the game if I'm going to win. Additionally, you have to win by, after you get your final score, you have to subtract 80 points from it and have a positive score. And if you have a positive score, depending on how positive it is, you get a slight victory, a normal victory, or a really, really good victory. Plus, you have to subtract any ones that I might have got here. So, for instance, this one said I have to subtract 10 more victory points. So, basically, 10 and 5. So, I've got to get more than 95 points to even qualify for a win. Okay? So, it's not really a beat your own score, but it's sort of. It's like a conditional beat a score, which I like. Okay, secondly, the way that the AI is going to work is you set them up with 2 colors over here on these spaces and a priority track, which you make by taking 2 of each of these pyramid tiles, shuffling them up, all right, and then laying them out in a little column here, a 3 by 3. It's got to be 3 colors, I think. I don't know if it does or not, but I'm pretty sure it does. Okay, and then you're going to set these over here, and then you're going to put resource priorities, 1 of each color, on these things as well. All right, and so what that will do is that will help us make a decision based on what discs we draw out for the AI, which kind of building they're going to get, and which kind of color they're going to get, okay? The AI never interacts with the influence actions down here. It only removes buildings up here. And it also does not score any points. It doesn't do anything with a building, or I'm sorry, a board right here. It does remove some of these mask tiles, and it will remove buildings and temple buildings from the game, and also these pyramid buildings, but it will never actually move any of these. All right, so let's go ahead and show you a little bit about what you're doing on this board here, and I will get a new one out just so I can move it close to the camera. These are double-sided, so there is a standard side like this, and if you flip it over, there's an asymmetrical side that has some different bonuses in the middle and some different spots on the, actually the mask tracks are the same where they are on the boards. It's just different bonuses here. So what's going to happen? Basically, what you're trying to do in this game is you're trying to work out a big spatial puzzle. The spatial puzzle is you are building buildings around here to generate resources and sometimes qualify for certain worship tile bonuses. You're trying to build temples around here as well, and the temples are one half of the scoring mechanic at the end. And those temples will then allow you to get worship tiles, which will allow you to use those to score points. And you're trying to build up this pyramid in the center. And when you cover these spots, you'll get a specific immediate bonus. And just like a pyramid, it can go, you have a base and then you have the section in the middle and then one more. And on the actual, game board, you're going to put that section right there. Also, if you happen to cover up any of these mask spaces completely with buildings or temples, then you will get one of those masks as a score. So that is simply a spatial kind of cover this up and get a bonus point tile. When you build buildings, the buildings will be surrounded by resources, which I'll show you in a second. And that is basically how you get your economy going, if you want to call it that. But you need the resources to be able to pay for the temple tiles and the pyramid tiles. That's what resources do in this game. You actually don't use any resources to build the buildings. You're going to use your activation power to do that, okay? So you'll see how that goes. The game is played in 3 rounds in the solo play. The solo player takes the turn, but it basically takes the turn by drawing action discs out of some kind of opaque bag. So I saved a Crown Royal bag here. Makes for great game bags, by the way. If you enjoy Crown Royal, you can have a great set of bags for any of these kinds of games that need them. So what you're going to do is on the AI's turn, you're going to draw 2 discs out. And if they are the same color, you're going to match them up with one of these action spaces here. And it's going to take, a large action, meaning it's going to take the bigger of the buildings. If you end up drawing them out, and it's 2 different colors, like a green and the purple here, then with that single size, it would take the smaller of the action, okay? And I'll show you that in just a second. It's pretty easy to actually do. Once you take the action, you're going to move this spot to the next one, the next open one, which will then kind of shift the priority of what it's going to do. And you'll move the priority marker over here, which will also shift the priority. It's pretty simple to do once you figure it out from the rules, once you play a couple of turns. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started, and then I'll play through. I'm going to actually go through the first round before we show you what's happening, and I'll play through the second round so you can see. That way we get a little deeper into the game. Okay, so here we go. Now we are on the second round of a 3-round game, and there's a couple of mechanics I have to explain. The way to take action is you're going to use these action discs, and you get to choose between 1 and up to 3 that you can play on your turn. And when you play those discs, actually, I just realized, I wonder if it is 3 or if it's not 2. Just a second here. Yeah, 1 to 3, sorry. So 1 to 3, okay, on the spot. And when you do that, if you place it on top of one of these bonuses that shows, you can take that bonus before or after your action. If you have a situation where there's already a disc in play, the bonus is not shown, and you can play on top of that disc up until the fact there are 3 wooden discs and 1 cardboard bonus disc. Then that action space is officially closed. To calculate your action strength, you're going to use the number of discs, whether they're yours or not, or cardboard, to figure out the action strength. So for instance, if I play 1 here, that action strength is 2. 1 for the cardboard, 1 for the wood. If I was to play 2 here, it'd be 3. And if I was to play 3 here, the action strength would be 4. And the action strength is important to determine how you play these top actions and what they cost. So to be very brief about this, to build a building over here, you have to have a strength equal to the size of the building. 2, 3, or 4, okay? The one-size buildings are built over here in a different way. To build these, the action strength is 2, 3, or 4, but if you don't have, 3, 4, or 5, but if you don't have enough, you can pay extra resources to make up for the difference, okay? And you also have to pay these top 2 resources anyway to build one of these temple tiles. And I forgot to put those out at the start of the next round. To build these, each of these are a 4-space building, and you have to pay 2 gold and 1 wood, and you can pay 1 additional gold for each action strength you are lower. So if I put this down there, that would only be a strength of 2. I'd have to pay the normal cost of 2 gold plus a wood plus 2 additional more gold to be able to afford one of these to play it down. okay? When you do the action, when you place them down on here, you either can choose to take the top action associated with that spot or the bottom action. The bottom action, which is the influence action, these things don't require anything to do with your strength. You basically get to do one specific thing and that's it. These up here do. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm going to show you the mechanics here and give you a feel of how it looks to play. So it is the first turn of the second round. The AI actually goes first, and he is going to draw, in this case, because it's the second round, one single disc out, take the action. I'm going to have him put it over here. It's a level 1, so he's going to remove the lowest of these colors, and he's going to look over here. It's green and gold, so he's going to remove the number 3 gold building, take it out of the game, okay? So that's all he is going to do there. Plus, he is going to take this 9 mask because it's the first move of the second round, which is really unfortunate because I was really trying to get that done to score the 9 points. Now I'm going to be left with a 5-pointer when I get to my turn. So it is now my turn. And, oh, and by the way, at any point, if you can't afford to pay the appropriate resources, you can always pay 2 gold as if it was 1 wood or 1 stone as a wild. All right, so I am trying to work with this situation over here. This is your architect, and at the end of every move you do something, he has to move around, and this will unlock the spaces you can build in. When he's over here like this, I can build on these 2 parts of my board, these 2 quarters or this half, and these 6 areas. I can take resources to pay for anything I want from anywhere on the board, but I can't build anywhere. I gotta be right on this half of the board, including the middle spaces. All right, so as you remembered, I need to, in order to win the game, I have to at least have activated 4 green worship tiles. And I am on this side of the board, and I do have some green area over here on both of these. So I think instead, I'm gonna do this. I wanna build here, but I don't have enough gold. So what I'm gonna have to do first is get some gold, and that probably means building a gold building. So I have 5 action discs. You start with 6, you lose 1 per round. So why don't I do this? I'm gonna have to spend a lot of them right away. That'll be 3 action discs right here. I'll get 2 points for covering that up, but then I'll be able to build this. So let's get the 2 points. I can take this and I can immediately put them over here if I want to get this mask point value, and I think I will. Now that does sacrifice a couple of gold spots for me, because when you build a building, you are allowed to put, and this is how you generate resources in this game, 1 of the matching resource on each of the orthogonal adjacent spaces. But since this was filled in and those were filled in, couldn't put it there. But I wanted the 4 points, so there we go, I did that. And that is it for me, my turn. Now we go to him. He is going to draw 2 out of the bag. He always draws 2. He got 2 different colors, okay? Oops, and I forgot. When I did this, I was supposed to move this over here and move that over here like normal. Now, I can resolve these either the purple first or the green. I just randomly do it. I don't really care. And it doesn't matter where you put them. Being that I don't have very many action spaces left, I'm probably going to put this thing, or action discs left. I'm going to put it there on that particular one. So we look at purple. Purple says red. So it's going to take 1 of the red buildings out of the game. Then he moves over here, and this circles back around right there. It's that simple. And now we do the same thing over here. We're going to go ahead and put that there. And we look at green. Green is actually on green, so he's going to remove 1 of the green tiles from the pyramid. He's going to slide over here, and he's going to slide over there. So the AI is really easy to take actions for once you understand the simple mechanics. They're not bad in this game, which I appreciate. Just a little refresher, probably between games, to learn how. But it's pretty much draw the discs, move, take away something and move the priority, and then move your architects. And speaking of moving the architects, it is very hard to remember to do that at the end of your turn. And also, I made a mistake immediately. Gosh, John, just thinking about that. I couldn't build here because this is in the wrong spot. So I apologize for anybody who sat there in agony waiting for me to figure that out. So I have to put all this back, and let's change the approach. Because we were over there, that would only give me 2 resources, and that kind of stinks. So I'm not going to do that. I don't like that approach. at least over here, I will be closer to my goal. And that still gives me the 4. I didn't quite cover up what I wanted. Okay, that turn's legitimate, and I should have moved him here. So now I'm on this side of the board, and I want to build one of these green pyramid tiles. So I'm going to put this over here, and that's going to allow me to do, yeah, we're going to make up the difference. So this gives me 1 point, plus it adds an additional action strength to my disc. So this actually is a 3, not a 2. So I'm going to pay 2 gold, 1, 2, a wood, and an additional gold for the one I couldn't make up. There we go. I get the green. That immediately scores me 2 more points. And I can put this green, again, anywhere on this side. I'm going to put it right here because I want to get the, let's see, that would be 1, 2. Yeah, I want to get the 2 points and the more stone, but I also need gold. Let's do this. Let's actually put it right here. It's still in the 6 that are over there. That gives me the opportunity to get this, which I need to use those to start activating to try to win. And yes, that's what I'm going to do. All right, so back to him. He draws out 1 of each. We'll start with the purple this time. So here we go. Purple says it's the 1 disc only. If I had drawn 2, it would be the larger, but I didn't. So 1 disc only. We're going to go ahead and discard that. This will move, and this will move. And here, I have 1 disc. I would like, oh shoot, and I forgot to move this. It even says in the rule it's hard to remember, and I agree with it. I don't know why it's hard to remember, but it is hard to remember. Okay, so I'm going to have him put this right here. And green says red, so he's going to discard this other red one. Doesn't matter for me because my condition is I can't use the reds at all. Now I have 1 action disc left. I would like to do one of these bottom things here, but I'm not going to quite have what I need. However, perhaps there's a smart move that I'm over here in the building. So building a green temple really doesn't help because I don't have any green pyramid tiles over there. Why don't I do this? Why don't I put this thing on this action space here so I can build 2 small buildings to generate a couple of resources that I'm going to need. Plus, I want to get this, if at all possible. You know what? I take that back. I am going to actually use that to build a stone building. Instead of taking this action right here, I'm going to build the 4 stone building so I can get a bunch of stone, but also can cover up some stuff like so. Yeah, I don't know. Let's give that a shot. All right, so I'm flush with stone, but that's okay because I have these worship tiles here where I could discard any resource I want, 8 of them to get 9 points or 10 of them to get 12 points. And so that's kind of a bit of a strategy I'm trying to roll with here. All right, I'm out of action discs, which means I immediately stop drawing for the AI. We're done with the round. Okay, now we go to cleanup. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to discard 1 of my action discs. I'm going to get my 4 ones back. We're going to move this to the 3rd and final round. I'm going to put all of his action discs back in the bag he doesn't discard. Okay, and then we're going to gas back up the buildings for the next round. And it's pretty much that simple. Now, I'll just show you the scoring at the end so that you can see. Oh, and then also you take these bonus tiles, you put them back in the little supply, mix them up, draw some new ones. Okay, so we get a little variety here, which is cool. And then we add back in that. All right, so quickly to show you how the the game finishes. You score each of these different districts in your player area. And you do that by multiplying the number of matching colored temples to the matching colored pyramid tiles. The pyramid tiles on the bottom level are worth 2 points. On the second and third level, they'd be worth 3 points. So for instance, to score this, I would say 2, 4, so that's a 4 multiplier times I have 2 buildings would be 8 points, right? If I was to score this, it's going to be 2 times 1 is 2. If I was to score this, it would be 2 times 1 is 2. And over here would be 2 times 1 is 2. And that's how it scores. So really, you're trying to match these colors with these colors in the different quadrants to score big at the end. Plus, you score your, when you score these masks, you'll already have scored them immediately when you take them. And when you do these worship tiles, you score those immediately. So pretty much the only thing you're adding at the end is that score for those quadrants. All right, so that is how it plays. That is pretty much the full second round plus a refresh, so you can see kind of what's going to happen. And then basically to finish the game, I play one more round, I'd add it up, and then I would take the total number that I have, I'd subtract off the 95 I need for my victory conditions, and make sure that I did everything else that I needed, which in this case means I have to have at least 4 size 2 or greater stone buildings. Right now I have 3, and I've had to have used 4 of these worship tiles. I have used 2 so far in the game. And so that's kind of the way it works. Now I will mention one more thing. The turn you saw was, for me, was pretty straightforward. However, depending on some of these different bonuses, there can be a lot of back and forth. Like this bonus right here allows you to activate one of these, anyone you want, along with this action that you're going to take over here, or this action you take over there. So it does add a little bit more. Okay, I can do a really kind of power turn here, depending on what I put my stuff on, if I can afford to do that. And I do like the fact that these things come out in different ways and are random, because that definitely takes some of the straightforwardness out of the game and introduces a little bit more of a variable choice. So you didn't see that, but I'm telling you that could definitely happen. All right, let's go back up and I'll tell you what I think about it. All right, so I really hope that helped you understand the way this game plays, the simplicity of the AI, and the scoring mechanism. I really actually enjoyed this game. There is, on the surface, a simple game here, but with what's going on with the building placement, with the different types of actions you can take that are, you're trying to do a lot of different things in a very short amount of time. This is a very tight, strong game from a strategy standpoint. It's not heavily tactical. The only tactical element you get is with these worship tiles that come out in different ways. There's a lot of strategy. I think it's a lot more of trying to figure out, based on what you're doing and how your architect's moving and where he is. Okay, I've got to make sure that I'm preparing my strategy for these 3 rounds so that I can do that. I also have only a certain amount of these action discs, so I have to have enough power to do what I want to do. It's a very, very cool game in a small, compact package. The theme is pasted on, right? I mean, you saw it. This is a polynomial cube resource kind of pusher game. I don't really feel like there's a heavy reliance on the theme here, which is totally fine because it doesn't matter. I play Euro games for the mechanics and the strategy, not really for the theme. I play other games for the theme. From a solo standpoint, I feel like this game is very satisfying. It's easy to draw out of the bag to see what the solo person's going to do. That gives the board a little freshness. It does not really distract you from a strategy standpoint, but he can take your buildings or your temple and kind of push you a little more to say, I better, if I'm going to get this, I better get it while the getting's good, or I might be out of luck this round. So it's just enough there. But what's really cool are those conditions, the fact that you have basically all those different combinations, which makes every solo game unique and different. And I think that is the best part about this game, is that it's ultimately, this is one giant puzzle you're working on. And if you like puzzly games, this is great. If you don't like puzzly games, this is maybe not for you. But the fact is that when you roll that dice 3 times, it determines the different conditions you have to do to win, or that you have to abide by during the game. I think that's really cool, and it really kind of changes up the feel for what you're trying to do. It also forces you to do different things in strategies that you may not have wanted to do. You got to do it, and I got to still come up with a bunch of points to win. And they do have a beat your own score, yes, but it's a conditional beat your own score, which I think is good, and that works for me. I'm fine with that. I like the idea of covering different things to get different bonuses. That's cool. I like the idea that where I put my different buildings, it will allow me to generate more resources that I need to use to build other things. But also I'm trying to fit it into different spaces on the board, cover up the mass tiles, and obey the rules of the architect to build only in those sides that are there. Really, I mean, I think there's a lot to like about this game. The downside, I guess, there's not a lot of downside in my opinion. Like I showed you from a solo standpoint, it plays really, really good. The rules are pretty straightforward. I did read them once, and it took the first game to really figure it out, and a couple of references back and forth. However, I don't think I'm going to have to do a lot of referring to the rules from now on, now that I've learned it. It only took me a game to learn it, so I think that's a good thing about the rules. The AI rules had just a small amount of ambiguity on what you do in your first turn, or your first turn per round. I think that's probably it. I thought the rest of it was pretty straightforward. It would have been, I guess, nice to have a small player aid to make it a little more simple to just reference later on, because the player aid on the back with the conditions, you really kind of have to leave that open with some cubes on it, or write down, I guess you could write down your conditions. That would be simpler too, just so you remember what you're trying to do. So you're kind of not flipping into the book if you use the cube method that I am. It's a minor quibble. I like how they did the priority system, how easy it is to move the actions around, how easy it is to change up the priorities. Overall, I think this is a solid game for a solo player who likes, a very puzzly game. If you're looking for an engine building game, this is not it. If you're looking for a very tactical game, I would say this is not it. This is much more strategic. And if you're looking for a game that has a lot of theme, I would say this is not it either. But if you're looking for any of the other things I said, I think this is a great game. It's a great value. I really like it. It's going to stay in my collection for a while, and I really hope that whatever you saw here, it will help you make the decision you need to make. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I really appreciate it, and whatever you play in the future, hope you have a great time doing it. Thanks.